Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday evening lesson. Sorry for the slight delay in our starting procedures today. So we're going to carry on as usual with our selected excerpts on this channel. If you're new to the YouTube channel, please feel free to browse through the 3 semesters of lessons we've got on the Introduction to the Wisdom of Kabbalah. I'm sure that will help you in understanding the concept and the topic. And if you're interested in the wisdom of Kabbalah, please visit our website, kabbalah.info, and you can join like-minded people there at the KabEU Academy and study if you like. All right, so as usual, let's get smashing. If you have any questions or queries, please send them through, and we're more than happy to find answers with you through the text. This is from the Congress we had in February, Connecting to Lishma. This is lesson number 3, excerpt number 1. So we're starting fresh on the topic of the 3rd lesson of that Congress we went through. Excerpt number 1. This is from RABASH, article number 29, Lishma and Lo Lishma. Now that he sees that he is far from spirituality, he begins to think, what is really required of me? What should I do? What is the purpose I should achieve? He sees that he has no power to work and finds himself in a state of between heaven and earth. Then man's only strengthening is that only the Creator can help, but by himself he is doomed. It was said about this, yet those who hope for the Lord will gain new strength, meaning those people who hope for the Creator. This means that they who see that there is no one else in the world who can help them regain strength each time. All right, so this is good to go over again. Let's read that again. Rabash. Now that he sees that he is far from spirituality, he begins to think, what is really required of me? What should I do? What is the purpose I should achieve? He sees that he has no power to work and finds himself in a state of between heaven and earth. Then man's only strengthening is that only the Creator can help, but by himself he is doomed. Now, this is a state we all need to get to in the wisdom of Kabbalah. This takes a bit of time and process, because initially everybody thinks that they've got the strength to do the work and to move forward. And when we initially come to the wisdom of Kabbalah, we're quite motivated, actually. So we're running around with all kinds of, joy and happiness and thinking we're getting stuff done. And we can get stuff done simply because we want to attain this goal. And that's fair enough. That's human nature, because we're desired to receive. So we've got the kind of initial drive to really push forward. So this is why we see a lot of enthusiasm with new students when they come on board. They're like really energetic, enthusiastic. They found a treasure, right? And what is that treasure? The answer to all the questions regarding life. And that really resonates with people in the 21st century, because I think the biggest question all the time in the world is actually, why am I living? What's the purpose of my life? Is there an intention? What is the intention of my life? What do I need to do here? And this is a big dilemma for everyone, especially for the new generation, because they don't really see a light at the end of the tunnel. It's just life, and then you're just ending up dead. So discovering these answers to these questions initially gives a person a bit of a drive, and then he needs to push forward. And as he does so, He understands that growing takes time, and as time moves forward, this motivation kind of declines. Why? Because our desire to receive, our nature, wants results and wants them when? Yesterday. All right, so that's when they want it. Apparently, things don't happen that way. What happens with growth is that it takes time. It requires patience. It requires grit, as they say. So this drive over time is something that a person will need to kind of pump up with the help of the environment so that the drive to push forward and to overcome the obstacles and to have the grit is really, going to be a part of the work. And this is absolutely necessary. And this is what Rabash is trying to really explain to us here, that a person, although wants to attain something and believes, according to what he sees in life, that if I push forward, do everything I can do, I will get this done. And that's fair enough because that's what we see in life. Okay, so if we really want something, go for it, do everything we can, and we're patient and driving and pushing and pushing, pushing, we can get things done in life. But here we're talking about a completely different ball game. It's a ball game about me connecting with a higher level of consciousness. Call it God, call it creator, call it light, call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I have to change my nature from what it is to something completely different to perceive reality and to feel reality and live in a reality which is completely different to what I'm feeling right now. And that is a dilemma because we don't have the power to change our nature. So as we move forward in life, what we see is that a person, having done everything he or she can do in life, understands that I cannot change my nature and I am stuck in this swamp. Now, why is our nature a swamp? Well, we've discussed this on many an occasion, but basically we're a desire to receive pleasure. And every time you get what you want, the pleasure cancels the desire. So you're left with a big fat minus because you've just wasted time and effort to satisfy a desire which has now evaporated. So all our desires are basically fleeting pleasures, and I'm left with nothing again and again and again. And all that's happening during that time is me getting old with nothing in my hands. All right. So that's the drama. That's normal corporeal life. So when we're attaining or when we want to attain something higher, coming to the understanding that I'm created in a certain nature and it is not in my hands to change myself. The person has no other choice but to basically shut up, sit down, and pray. That's it. Okay. But that is a feeling a person needs to come to. Really, he does shut up because he actually hasn't got a clue after all the effort on what he's supposed to really do to change himself. That is why he becomes kind of like mute. Okay, so it's also written a few texts that a person just becomes mute because you just don't know what to say. You don't know what to ask for. You don't know what you need. You don't know what's expected from you. You feel like you've done everything and you're like, well, what's left to do? And exactly at that time, when you can't really come up with an answer, a person just needs an outside help. Now, this is similar to a child trying to achieve something, but doesn't have the mind or the strength or both to actually accomplish something, becomes frustrated and, has a tantrum about it. Goes, sometimes we see kids going crazy, right? They throw themselves all over the floor. They just go nuts because, something isn't going in there the way they want because they don't understand the emotion they're going through and they don't know what to do about it. So, they just lose it. So they have a tantrum. This is a kind of an inner state that a person is in. They just, we just don't know what to do anymore. And this is actually a perfect time for a person to turn to the Creator. All right. Because at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? What is the wisdom of Kabbalah all about? It's about a person raising himself to come to a contact point with this upper force. Like I said, you can call it whatever you want. Call it God, call it light, call it, I don't know, call it life. It doesn't matter. Call it nature. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that life has a purpose. And that purpose is existing above our current level of consciousness. And to get out of one consciousness, or to get out of one fixed perception of reality through our five corporeal senses into a higher perception, requires additional senses, something extra than what I have. Now, sometimes they call it a soul. You can call it a sixth sense. I don't know. It doesn't matter what you call it. At the end of the day, we need an extra sensory organ, something additional to us. This does not open up to a person by the power of the individual, but it is through the work when a person comes to desire such a state where the Creator then can help the person, just like parents help children when they go through that struggle of not being able to achieve or attain what they want. And that is exactly the same process. We must understand that as we're developing, we are no different than kids growing up, because we have really no idea about spirituality. What really is spirituality? There are more than 4,000 religions on the planet. And everybody's got their own idea, and there are 8 billion people, and 8 billion will have their own definition about what spirituality is, according to those same religious methods as well. Okay. Why? Because just like our faces are different, the way we see life, the way we think about life, the way we process life is different. This is why everybody's unique. Everybody's a unique individual. Life has created us all different. So the only thing we have here on the planet is through our five sensory organs, we can perceive a common reality. Okay. But how we go through the process of feeling and sensing that reality is different for everyone. It's not the same for everyone. It's different for everyone. This is why when I say I like chocolate, somebody might also like chocolate, but I might like chocolate more than them. Okay. Or they might not like chocolate at all. It's also possible that they might like something, I don't know, chili or, I don't know, salty. So what I'm trying to say is, despite the fact that we're living in a common reality, the process of change is individual. And the individual needs to go through phases where the individual really is craving for this change to happen. And we can also see that life will further more and more push us. It will push us into wanting to change. And this is why I think we've come to pretty much like the end of our development in terms of um, like excitement over crazy technological developments. As you can see, we get bored with everything pretty quickly. Like 10, 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, right? Social media was a big thing. All of a sudden, we had all the social media. And then now the new generation is like pretty much bored. They don't want to waste time on this stuff. They're looking for something different. Why they got bored. So social media has now turned into, well, what it was meant for in the first place initially, but the masses didn't really understand it at that time, is a business. This is why on social media, everybody's trying to sell something. Nobody's really there for unless it's like specific, unique information you're looking for. Nobody's really there getting a big kick out of stuff. You can also see now that when they're making content, Now people are going for longer content, which is helpful to a person rather than all kinds of, you know, silly things. So the whole world is really changing. And as humanity is changing, the more stuff we come up with, we'll see that we're going to get bored and frustrated sooner and sooner. And the new generation is going to be a completely different ball game. They will just not know what to do with themselves. They just won't. All right. And life doesn't really have much to offer. With AI, everybody's jobs going. And now everybody's stuck with, well, what am I going to do with my life? You see how life is gradually bringing us to an understanding that there's really nothing here to look forward to. Now, I don't want to sound all depressing. Okay. Why? Because this is a part of growth. As we grow up in life as well, we get bored with our toys, don't we? So we look for new stuff. So this is normal. So life is raising us like parents. Okay. And as we grow up, we're getting bored with our toys that we were playing with when we were kids. And now we're looking for new adventures. Okay. New greener pastures where we can get more pleasure. And life will lead us in a direction where we will just sit down and think, why am I living? Really? That will be the question. So for us, studying before humanity gets there, obviously there's a bit of time for the humanity to really come up to that phase. It takes a bit of time to develop, and there is still time ahead of us. But I think we're entering with humanity a really um, I think it's a critical era in our development that from here onwards we'll have a bigger drive where people will really be questioning about their lives. How can I be happy? Why am I not happy? What am I living for anyway? Am I going to be running around with all this stuff? And another thing that really stands out, which is a sign of this, is a lot of people leaving workplaces. So on the one hand, we've got, you know, artificial intelligence taking over the workforce. And then we've got also, on the other hand, people leaving work. They just don't want to be stuck in that environment. People just want to do their own thing at their own time and just, you know, take a different path to where we've been pushed and shoved into since the Industrial Revolution. And this is all a consequence of our development internally, which is now being depicted, or what we're like as a consequence being expressed in our corporeality. Okay? So this is actually inner growth, which is expressing itself in the way it is in our world right now. So this is also a similar process to what we go through when we are voluntarily wanting to develop ourselves. So this is why it says, those who hope for the Lord will gain new strength. Well, what am I really hoping for? I'm hoping for a completely new kind of life. And if you also look at all of us, if we ever wanted to do something new, start a new page in life, we always start with hope, don't we? Because if we didn't, we'd never take that step forward. So whenever we're coming up with something or we want to renew something in life, we have this hopefulness. And it's the same kind of thing. A person needs to understand that this inner change, this higher level that he needs to attain is not in his hands, but he's got hope because if he didn't create himself, and if he didn't create, or she didn't create, or I didn't create this whole reality, therefore, behind this reality, there must be a force that is intending a certain consequence or a certain objective behind the whole of reality, right? So creating the reality and having a reason for it, there must be a reason for it. Why? Because only a fool would do something, or a child would do something without a reason. But if we look at reality, we understand how intricate, detailed, complex it is with all the integrated parts in reality, from a one cell creature to, I don't know, to a complicated human being. You see how complete and how its natural laws of balance are working all the time perfectly. Only we as humanity are, messing things up all the time. Okay. So through this falling and getting up, just like kids learning to walk, you fall and you get up, you fall and you get up, you fall and you get up until you learn to walk. Our path is the same thing. And in fact, our whole life is the same thing. We discover that we're always falling and having the need to get up. So we're coming to a point individually in our development, if we're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, that this falling and getting up, falling and getting up should bring us to a point where we've kind of felt like we really need this change. And, this has got to be it because I feel like I can't do anything else. And that is a point where a person can sincerely, truly, wholeheartedly turn to the Creator with a prayer. This is why in religions they pray through, I don't know, written texts, right? You go to any religion, they've got their books, their prayer books or whatever, and they'll read it out for you. In the wisdom of Kabbalah, you can't read out a prayer. What are you going to do? Read somebody's writing and then call it, this is what I'm praying for? That's just not logical. Okay. It's also incomprehensible. Okay, because that's not really what's in my heart. A prayer in the wisdom of Kabbalah is called, what is the desire in your heart equals your prayer. So the study should bring me to an understanding that I really want to change, but I can't. And that is the time when you can pray because you really want something and there is no way you're going to be able to do that. And this is where we should end up. And that's what it means to have faith in the Creator. Any questions? No? Okay, we're crystal then. Let's move on to excerpt number 2. Okay, just bear with me while I wet my taste buds with some water. Try it out. All right. So let's take a look at excerpt number 2. This is also from RABASH, article number 12. What are Torah and work in the way of the Creator? Feeling the vitality in the Torah requires great preparation. To prepare his body to be able to feel the life in the Torah. This is why our sages said, we must begin in Lo Lishma. And through the light of Torah, he obtains while still in Lo Lishma. It will bring him to Lishma, since the light in it reforms him. Then he will be able to learn Lishma, meaning for the sake of the Torah, which is called Torah, which is law of life. As he has already attained the life in the Torah, for the light in the Torah will have given such qualification to a person as to be able to feel the life that is in the Torah. All right, as usual, let's go over it a second time and sentence by sentence. Feeling the vitality in the Torah requires great preparation to prepare his body to be able to feel the life in Torah. Now we have to understand here, preparation is all the work that we do until we get to the prayer. Okay, because a person, what does it mean to prepare? Prepare means that I'm preparing the right vessel, the right need. Requires great preparation to prepare his body to be able to feel the life in the Torah. Now, body, we're not talking about our corporeal body indeed, not at all. Body in spirituality means our desire to receive. Okay, that's what it means. Body in its meat and flesh form absolutely has no value at all in terms of feeling something spiritual. This is why it dies. If it had that value, it wouldn't end up dead. it would just keep living, right? So body in spirituality means the desire to receive. So I have to prepare my desire to receive, to feel life in the Torah. Now, Torah comes from two words. One's called Teurah, which is called lighting, and the other one is Horah, means user manual. So if I study correctly spirituality, which is the wisdom of Kabbalah, so the wisdom of Kabbalah is our Torah, right? That's the teaching, and that's where we get the light from. So that's our Torah. Then we should be able to feel within the teaching as we progress some kind of life. Now, it doesn't know what life, it doesn't tell us here what life is, but let's see. This is why our sages said we must begin in Lo Lishma. Now, Lo Lishma means I study for my personal benefit, which is fine because that's our nature, right? Self-benefit, self-preservation is the law of nature. So what I want to do first is always think about my benefit. And that's called not for the creator, not for his name. Okay, Lishma is short for Shem Shemaim. So Lo Lishma means not for heaven's sake. Lishma means for heaven's sake. And through the light of the Torah he obtains while still in Lo Lishma, it will bring him to Lishma, since the light in it reforms. So as we study more, as we practice more, the study should bring about some kind of change in us. Now, this is something we all experience. From, in fact, the day we start studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, we can feel that now we are looking at life from a different perspective. All right. So it's like from day one, you start studying, you think all of a sudden, oh my God, this is my nature. So once you're right, discovering what your nature is like, you're already starting to think differently about life. And then you will be able to learn Lishma. So from learning for our personal benefit, we'll be able to come to a state to really practice what we've learned in order to bestow, not for my benefit, but for the benefit of others, meaning for the sake of the Torah. Okay, so for the benefit of others and for the sake of the Torah are the same kind of thing, which is called Torah, the law of life. Now, law of life is also known as the laws of nature, because creator Hinduism of Kabbalah is also known as nature, and the creator's laws are the laws of nature. As he has already attained the life in the Torah. For the light in Torah will have given such qualification to a person as to be able to feel the life that is in the Torah. So here he's giving us a hint. He's saying, listen, you can really feel life, which is fulfillment, joy, and happiness, if you don't think about yourself as an egoistic, selfish person, but think about the benefit of others. Okay, because the more you think about yourself, the more you're going to worry about yourself. The more you worry about yourself, the more depressed and distressed you're going to be. This is just classic law of nature. The more you think about yourself, the more, the deeper you get into the swamp. That's just how it is. This is why a lot of depressed people, if you take them out and let them do things not for themselves, but for other people, they become more cheerful and happy. They're doing something for somebody, right? Why? Because they kind of got it out of themselves. So a good exercise for people who are depressed is to take them out and let them do good things to other people. Rightio. So I am told there are a few questions. Let's see what we've got here. Ingrid's asking, what can one person to already today in order to change oneself? What can one person do already today in order to change oneself? Well, one good recommendation is, after every lesson, take a notebook and summarize for yourself, what did I learn today and what should I do with what I've learned? Because if you don't take on the teaching and then start to apply what you learned from it, and if you don't contemplate it, if you don't think about it, if you don't intend towards changing via the education or via the learning or via the wisdom, then nothing's going to happen. Right? It says nothing will happen. So it's very, very important for us to kind of like get ourselves in tune with the study. So when we read text, we really need to get stuff out of the text. We just need, otherwise that light isn't really affecting us, is it? How it says here, the light will affect us, right? So, well, what is that light? Well, that's the wisdom. So when I learn something, so let's take an example, right? Feeling the vitality in the Torah requires great preparation. So I should think about myself. What do I need to prepare? What does it mean to prepare my desire to receive, to feel life? So now, every time I'm reading something, questions should pop up. So for me, what is the Torah? What is that preparation? What do I need to do to prepare myself to do something for the next step that I'm supposed to take? So if I don't go through that process day in and day out, I won't get anywhere. Okay. So it needs to be like this day to day, like breathing in and out, in and out, in and out. So I'm kind of like pushing myself forward with the study. That way, I'm actually paving my path forward. I'm building my own life. Okay. So these are the things we need to do on a day-to-day basis. And hopefully we'll find out things where we can add things, how we can interact with others according to what we've learned, how I need to change in order to get something done so I can advance in spirituality. All that kind of stuff is incorporated into it. Okay. Sibel is asking, the article we read, are they the experiences of a spiritual person? Not necessarily. You will feel what he wrote here before you enter spirituality, especially the first one, the first excerpt we read. You will feel it before. It will take time, though. By the time a person comes to truly open his heart and pray to the Creator, is a process, and it's not a short one. It's not a short process, but it is definitely, you will feel it before spirituality, before entering spirituality. How can we make the work we do more accurate without being spiritual, because we can inevitably associate it with worldly life? How should we approach this? You should make sure that all your impressions that you're getting is from your connection with the friends and not related to the outside world. Because spirituality is felt in between the dots in the heart. This is why we say spirituality is always between us. It's in the sensation between us. Okay. So it needs to be with people who are aiming for the same thing. Therefore, you can't really practice spirituality with people who are not doing it. It's just impossible. You need like-minded people. It's like being in a team. You have to have the same intention, same objective, same goal, and you're like all pushing to it. Artul Han is asking, how should we prepare for the upcoming Congress? All of us really need to push forward and make sure we're constantly in tune with the lessons. And the whole tent should be very, very, like, I don't know, pushy, and really push everybody in the tent. Until the Congress, we really need to be in attack mode. All right, so don't have any mercy on the friends. Don't be soft on the friends. When I say don't have mercy on the friends, don't be soft. Always demand from the friends that they need to keep their framework. We're coming up to a Congress. Let's push, let's do. This is an important period for us. Okay. And nobody should miss out. Obviously, don't harass the friends, but just with but make them feel that we have some kind of an urgency, some kind of responsibility, that we need to now be in attack mode. All right, so this is really important. Ingrid is asking, is this called practical Kabbalah? Yeah, practical Kabbalah is everything we've learned. We need to translate it into inner work and into the connection with the friends. Okay. So everything I've learned, I've got to like really kind of like apply it in the group. So I'm always getting feedback, and that feedback is then going to allow me to make adjustments or come to new discernments, new understanding, or will make me feel like, well, wait a minute, what I thought was right yesterday doesn't seem like it's right today. Okay. So that's like me changing all the time. All right. As with kids as well, right? Yes, we don't still believe the same truths of our childhood or teenage years, do we? Why? Because we've grown up. But during the teenage years, we were thinking differently. And for us, that was the truth. But as we move forward in life, we understand it's a different ballgame. So here as well, the same kind of thing. The study should always kind of like change us. We should get new perspective on things. New feelings is very, very important because we are sensual creatures. We feel first, comprehend later. So the study should always bring about different feelings, thoughts, discernments about the things I'm going through in life as well. Alrighty, so we've done 1, 2. Let's do number 3 and call it a night. Excerpt number 3. We should pay attention and believe through the worst possible states and not escape the campaign, but rather always trust that the Creator can help a person and give him whether one needs a little help or a lot of help. In truth, one who understands that he needs the Creator to give him a lot of help because he's worse than the rest of the people is more suitable for his prayer to be answered. As it is written, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. This is nice too. All of these things that he wrote for us, we need to feel on the path. We should pay attention and believe through the worst possible states and not escape the campaign. So no matter what happens, he says, listen, have grit. Just go with it. Okay. Life can be tough and challenging in corporeality as well. So we shouldn't think that spirituality is going to be a cruise if we want to attain a completely different nature to what we are currently in. Always, but rather always trust that the Creator can help a person and give him whether one needs a little help or a lot of help. So this is also something we need to keep in mind. Sometimes we feel and we see that a person, prays often but doesn't get a reply. But sometimes not getting a reply may also be a reply. Sometimes don't you get those moments you ask your parents for something and they give you a look but don't say anything? That's an answer. Okay. So same kind of thing here. So don't feel like life isn't bringing anything new. Sometimes everything being all quiet and nothing kind of being answered is also a time when a person requires, obviously, more contemplation about where he or she is at. In truth, one who understands that he needs the Creator to give him a lot of help because he's worse than the rest of the people is more suitable for his prayer to be answered. So we need to really come to a state of need. Now we need some help. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. So when we need that help, we get help. If you don't need something, you're not going to get it. It's like being a baby. You cry and you get your milk. Okay, you don't cry, you're not getting that milk because everybody thinks everything's honky-dory. So you start yelling and letting people know that everything isn't honky-dory. And that's how you get fed and taken care of. So this is how the Creator will be working with us as well. So we shouldn't be surprised. Really, Torah is the laws of nature. And if we observe them correctly, we can see where we're going to get help, how we're going to get help, when we're going to get help. And that's basically boiling down to our work and coming to a need to really get help from the Creator. Rightio, hope that helps out. Now we've got a new Congress coming up, as you know, in May. All right. So we really need to give it that push as we got out of the February Congress. We're coming towards Pesach and now got to push towards that May Congress. So as you can see, we're like one step after the other. This is very important. Sometimes people find the way we, constantly work and study and push very intense. And that is true. The intensity brings a person, prepares a person to a bigger desire. So we don't want to slack in any way. Just want to keep pushing and pushing and pushing so that that final push is just going to flatten us out so we can really come to that final prayer and scream. This is really important. So give it your best. Forget the rest. Have a good night. See you guys next time.